How are you? It's been a while since we last talked, but not really if you've been catching up on old episodes. It's season 3 of the Toilet Paper Diaries. So what are we going to talk about? We're going to take you on a journey into YouTube. How you start your channel, what kinds of shows you can make, and how you can get domination in the shortest possible time, and then you can own the world. Very simple. We'll do it in 1 hour. Welcome to season 3 of the Toilet Paper Diaries.
Dave, episode 88. 1 year ago, the two of us were sitting in Mumbai in the Taj Hotel, having breakfast, completely oblivious of what was going to happen afterwards. Do you remember that?
We had about 40 odd speakers that would come with us on a trip to speak at the World HR Congress. You and I were keynote speakers. We had some incredible things that happened. In fact, we'll probably show some footage of my false start when I got on stage and the guy basically threw me on stage with a microphone and no build-up and no presentation. You told everybody all the things they needed to do about growing their business as well. And we thought, you know what? This year's hitting a really good start. If only the forest fires would calm down and the stuff with Iraq and America would Iran and America would just be okay, then the world is going to be fantastic and we got the best year ever. We got back home and hell was unleashed. And the rest is history and we're still living it now.
Yeah, but once again, we are here like in Groundhog Day. It's exactly the same thing. It's 1 year ago. And right now also, 2021 has also been crazy. We went through the riots in the Washington, and then we had the impeachment, and then we had, right now, look at me. You're wearing your t-shirt and look at me. Right now, my office, it's 10 degrees centigrade, which is about, 40 degrees Fahrenheit, because there was a humongous blizzard yesterday in Texas. We were freezing. The entire state, which is one of the largest states in the United States, completely frozen. There's no electricity, there's no water, there's nothing. Right now we're very lucky that we are able to actually do this show, because it was just insane.
And nobody knows it, but I do know that you're wrapped up in blankets doing this presentation, because otherwise, if you don't do that, you won't have your feet. You'll take your shoes off, and there'll be these little peanuts at the bottom of the shoe called your toes. So you got to look after yourself. Well, here in Dubai, I've just been out to walk the dogs. It's nighttime. It's been beautiful. And if anything, we have to turn the heating off because it's getting to a point where it's getting too warm again. What can you do? That's why I've been in Dubai 30 years.
Yeah, exactly. Well, normally Texas is fantastic for weather, but this is a polar vortex which has affected the entire country, and it's just so bloody cold. So incredibly cold. Yesterday we went to suddenly when there was no energy and we were completely unprepared, because of course here in the States you have the survivalists, which is an interesting breed of people that they have.
We know them very well. They run up the Capitol, but let's not go there.
Yeah, but anyway, these guys are prepared. They have canned food and stuff we had nothing. So we just we had to go to Walmart because that was the only thing that was open. Every restaurant was closed. Everything was closed. And we arrived to Walmart, and they were just letting people in one by one, because there were lines of people to actually go there. We wanted to buy some butane. Do you think that there was anything there? The shelves were completely empty. There was no butane. There was nothing. So I said, "Oh my God, this is really 2020 2.0."
It is. It's part 2 of 2020, and it looks exactly the same as it did last year, apart from it's already a little bit worse. In fact, if anything, we start off a year way worse than we've ever been in our lives before, and that's our starting place for it. So it can only go down from here onwards. But I've got a positive attitude towards it. Since we last did our shows in the final season, we've had an election, we've had a new winner, a new president, we've had a start of a revolution, of an invasion of a capital, and we've got a really strange world going, hold on. Did you hear something? What do you mean? Did you feel the ground moving? No. Did it move? Oh, there it goes again. You're making it up. Everyone's at this point where they're walking on eggshells and thinking, are we going to be okay? The answer is yes, but not in the way that you think. Not yet. But what we're here to do is lead you by the hand, as we've done for the last year or so, to help your business grow, to keep you smiling, and be able to lead you on a path that nobody else has understood yet, to be able to do stuff in a digital world like you did in the previous world and still be successful. So that's what the Toilet Paper Diaries is here for. And Ernesto, I wouldn't be doing it with anybody else.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? I think it's really great that, well, we managed to get our YouTube channel monetized, so it's already working there. I haven't received any penny from it anyway, but it is already there. So that means that we have had all the views and everything. And we're going to teach you some of the stuff that we have done, because I think it's very, very useful. I mean, right now, still video is the #1 tool. But I think before we do that, why don't we show them, Dave, this video from Gary Vee, where he just basically covers why is it that some people fail when they do videos and some people succeed. Shall we do that?
Yep, let's leave.
When I was 31 years old, I was making less than $100,000 a year working in a liquor store, building a business for my dad, and was going to be leaving 3 years later, owning nothing. Under 31, I worked in a liquor store, ringing people up at the register. Everybody wants to get to a place, very few are willing to sacrifice to get there. Everybody wants something, and very few people are executing to go there. The amount of people whose actions match to the ambition coming out of their mouth is very low. There is no shortcuts, there is no secret, there's no system or model. The very basic nature of this, no matter what you do in this room, the customer that you're trying to reach is either very difficult to get to or very easy to get to on your ability to understand what's happening in the world. What I mean by that is there's only marketing and sales. There's marketing and branding, and then there's sales. Understanding how they're different and why they're different is important, and then understanding how to do marketing and branding so that you're not at the mercy of sales is an incredibly important thing to do for long-term success. So for me, I spend all my time trying to figure out for my businesses and for the businesses I'm an investor in, how do you build a brand so that you're not at the mercy of sales or other platforms? How do I get you to want to do business, period, regardless of any other variable? The only way to do that is to bring more value to the consumer than you're asking for in yourself. The main reason that people struggle with social media content being successful for them is because when they post, they're selfish, not selfless. The #1 reason, if you've been trying to grow your audience on these platforms and it is not successful, normally 90% of the time, it's because when you post, you're posting for yourself, not for your audience. You want it for you, not for them, period. And for me, that has been the foundational reason where a lot of my stuff has worked. And so for me, my #1 challenge, Malaysia, is can you go 2 months with putting out content that only brings people value and creates nothing for you in return? You have to understand that intent is the most important part of the process. If you're putting out a piece of content just so it goes into your funnel so that you can make money on that person, you're fucked. If the second you post a video or a picture or written words, in your heart, the reason you're writing it, the reason you're recording it, the reason you're posting it is to get them into you so you can sell them, you're in trouble. Because you may be good enough in the short term to get some money up front, but you will never build something long-term and meaningful. And until you understand that, you will continue to look for shortcuts, quick fixes, systems and all sorts of other horse shit to let you make some money in the short term. And that is the macro vulnerability.
I love Gary Vee. Despite the world being in a global pandemic and so much turmoil and challenges everywhere, he looks like he's just woken up and he doesn't care. Brilliant stuff. Now, before we get into telling you all about the things that you need to consider about creating your YouTube channel and the videos you need to make, we're going to give you a complete A to Z on everything you need. I just want to flag up the fact that there is a new direction that's come up in the time that we've been talking, and that's Clubhouse. Clubhouse is taking it away from video and taking it to audio and discussions. I do think it's important. I do think it satisfies a certain lo-fi need to connect with people during lockdown, have conversations that you wouldn't have had before. And I think it's going to be an important addition to the social media platforms, so much so that we've got Twitter rolling out Spaces, and our friend Mark Zuckerberg with Facebook is bringing out their own answer to Clubhouse very soon. And LinkedIn is going to be more connected to Clubhouse as though it owned it. But I think that video is still the battleground. The key to it is getting your Clubhouse attached to your video and doing the same thing with a new community. But there's loads of other shows you can do. So sit back, relax, get yourself a glass of water or anything that's not going to freeze, and find out with us exactly how to create your YouTube channel. Cheers.
So let's just talk about, well, we came up with a number. I do not even know how many they are. So we have a bunch of them. And they are different kinds of videos that you can actually do to create your YouTube channel, to actually have that kind of following, which is going to get you monetized. Now, the important thing of the monetization with YouTube is, you know, I mean, you're going to be making pennies. Very honestly, I mean, it's not going to be that you're going to become a super YouTuber gazillionaire that are going to be paying them millions just because of the advertising that they're going to be serving on your videos. I think it's one of the mistakes that most people think. Now, the important thing is the moment that you actually cross those 4,000 hours of watch time and that you get the 1,000 subscribers, what happens is that because, of course, YouTube now it's invested in making sure that that people watch your videos. So, for example, if you were not monetized in the beginning and then you were monetized afterwards, then they're going to start having a ton more traffic your videos and more people are going to watch them. So that's why it's really important to actually try to do everything possible to create those videos which are going to get you monetized so that you will have a lot more traction on YouTube.
Absolutely. So bear in mind that this is not an overnight success. This is a long walk to get to the magic figures of 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watched hours in a 1 year category. Once you've done that, the monetization begins. But how do you get there? Well, we're going to share with you now a number of different types of shows that you can create. Now, before we start talking about them, what I want to do is have one thing that's going on in your mind before you think about even going in front of your own camera. And that's to remember that in business, it's not about you want, it's about what's in it for them. All the time, think what's in it for them when you create content. When we start the Toilet Paper Diaries, we're going for a year now. We've had lots of people watching the show, having fun, connecting with us, being on the show, but we've never stopped thinking, what do people want to see? Not what do we want to share with people? And that's key. And people will smell a rat if you go me, me, me when you do your shows. So let's have a deep dive into the kind of shows that you can do.
Yeah, exactly. So, well, more than shows, I think they're videos. And I think because right now this is a proper structured show. And of course, it's great. It's fantastic. But obviously, I mean, not everybody wants to do a whole show. So you need to be able to do some videos. So, for example, I mean, the easiest video that you can start doing, I think it's going to be vlogs. You start, what is a blog? Well, basically, just think of what Gary Vaynerchuk also was talking. Don't think of creating, think of documenting. Anytime that you find something which is useful, anytime that you find something which is interesting, anytime, for example, you find a great article, you can find a great article, you can convert that article into a video. And then you're documenting, and this is exactly what a blog is, what a blog with a V is. You're basically documenting something which is really cool, and you share it with people. And it could be on any topic. I mean, there's blogs on absolutely any single topic. So just remember, as long as you are serving the people, as long as you're delivering some sort of added value to people, they're gonna love it. And I think that's the first kind of videos that we can talk about.
Next up is the interview of questions and answers. Now, with an interview session, that's generally you acting as a mirror to the person that you're going to be talking to. Now, I worked for the BBC for many years, and I do a lot of these kind of events. In fact, around about the time of going out live now, I'm just about to do an event called Gulf Food, where I've got 4 days of interviewing chefs. And at no point is my personality going to be involved in anything apart from to bring out the best in them. Nobody wants to know about my culinary skills. They want to know how good these chefs are about the things that they're talking about. So consider when you do interviews, getting the best people you could get access to explain something that even if you know it, you want to bring out the best in them. You want it to be a conversational style. You want them to be on the spot in a nice way. Even when you see the best politicians being grilled by the best newsreaders, it's almost like a dance. It's almost like fencing between each other. It's very rare that they fall out. Most of the time, even if it gets heated, they end with a thank you very much. Great to spend time with you. We'll talk again soon. So it's left so you can go back to it. So find the best practitioner you can possibly do. And also remember that during this time, it's still lockdown in many places around the world, and you can get access to higher and higher caliber experts who are not going into the office, who want access to media, and they've just got nothing to promote. So go down your wish list of people you'd like to talk to in your own particular niche that you'd like to highlight because it enhances your business a little bit further on down the line, and start knocking on doors. The worst they can say is no, and the best they can say is, yeah, okay, send me a Zoom link and let's do it.
Yeah, and my favorite interviews, and I think it's also really sad, which also happened this year. I used to love watching Larry King all the time, and sadly, he's also gone. But I think his legacy definitely remains there, and it's something that we have taken a lot from, a lot of great interviews with Larry King.
Well, I would say that the person who takes the mantle from Larry King is Joe Rogan. Mm-hmm. Joe Rogan, the most downloaded podcast on the planet, something like 180 million downloads a month. He does long form interviews, 2 to 3 hours of talking to somebody in a home studio. So it doubles as a blog, as well as a podcast, as well as a video live blog. And people watch it in its entirety. He goes deep, he talks and he argues with a lot of people, stays friends throughout, and he makes fascinating and gripping content, and he gets paid a fortune for doing it. So I would say that the stuff that came out from Larry King is always worth watching because he was very sharp and very smart. Watch Joe Rogan to see how it's done online, and then find your own style, and you can make that work.
Absolutely, that's great advice. Now, this next video that I'm going to be sharing with you, it's one of the most popular and one of the ones that is going to always give you a lot of watch time in YouTube. And this is just insane. YouTube, in reality, it is a search engine. And what they are providing is a how-to kind of thing. So if you provide tutorials, so recently, for example, I provided a tutorial from a new feature that YouTube was talking about, that it is called YouTube Clips. I provided that tutorial, which is about 3-4 minute video. And now, I mean, that video itself, which is a 3-4 minute video, has already given to our channel, has given already about 100 hours of watch time. It's insane. It's a 4-minute video. But of course, because people want to find out how to do something. So if you can do a tutorial where you can explain, the latest version of some sort of software, or something, and you explain how to do it. But it could be some of the weirdest things. I mean, if you want to go into technicals, how to connect your YouTube channel into whatever, how to do this, how to do that. Any single thing that you can record your screen, that is just a great video for you to upload, so that actually it will give you watch time. There's a tool that I'm going to also recommend you, that I started recommending to everybody. It's called Vidyard. And in Vidyard, you can record very nice tutorials. But what I really like is you could also have, like, in a little circle, you can have your face underneath. And that, of course, gives it still a little bit more of personality. Although that's another of the great things of these videos, that many people don't want to have their face on the video. So you decide what you do.
Next up, let's look at product reviews. Now, these are fascinating and they're hugely popular because what used to happen was advertising would make you want to buy a product. You'd see the advertising, it would look nice and shiny, and you go and you get it. But nowadays, that's the least bit that sways you to buy. You want to find out what real people and real experts think who are practically using these materials and these products, and what they would do to compare them to other ones that you could spend your money on instead. So product reviews are usually either unboxing stuff or they're looking at gadgets and using gadgets. They go through the specs because the people who are experts on it really know what they're talking about, but also they give you the subtle feeling of whether they're enjoying it or not. Now, what's great about this is sometimes you would feel that maybe they're talking about it nicely because they're getting a freebie, but this is actually quite rare. In most cases, the people talking about it want to be seen as neutral on the product because that gives them more value to the entire industry. So I'd always recommend, if you have a certain thing that you enjoy, go down that route of the product reviews. It could be holidays, it could be cars, it could be food, it could be clothing, or it could be what one of the biggest earners on the planet does. That's Ryan Hadji. 9 years old, he unboxes toys. Ryan makes about 30 million a year, according to Forbes magazine. And what's he spend it on? Well, we know he doesn't spend it on toys. Why? Because he gets them all for free. Probably on chicks and booze, but allegedly. Or maybe he's saving up for a special fund.
Yeah, that's true. Now, these other kind of videos they're not gonna give you too much traction, to be very honest. I mean, in our channel, this is the one that has the least amount of views. However, it's very important to have them, and those are testimonial videos. And why are they important to have them? Because of course you want other people to talk about how effective you are in doing something, how effective you are in promoting something. And I think that might be a very good idea, Dave, that at some point we do another episode of Toilet Paper Diaries talking about how to, prep people to do proper testimonials. Because, I mean, there's nothing worse. Oh, yeah, it's a very good service.
Well, it's a thing about when you get a testimonial from somebody, you've really got to hold them the right way. And it normally takes about 7 or 8 versions of delivering it before you got one you can actually use. Because if their eyes go somewhere else while talking or thinking about it, it looks like you're holding a gun to their head and forcing them to actually say the stuff, which kind of you are at the same time. So testimonials are really important because they provide certainty that you're the right person to invest in for your services, your products, and your expertise. So you do need to have them. And what most people don't think about is when they interact with others in any way, shape, or form, you should be thinking about picking up a testimonial. At the very least, getting one together on LinkedIn where you give a referral or testimonial for each other. But at the very best, once you do an interview with somebody or you talk to somebody, get them to talk to camera about their experience of working with you. Yeah. And that will come back and be useful at every stage. And you can recycle it, put together a montage, or use them as standalone pieces of credibility on your website as well as YouTube.
Absolutely. This is, in fact, let's just quickly show this testimonial montage or this testimonial reel so that you can see how we use them and how they are effective. Have a look.
Oh my God, Ernesto is the man.
Ernesto is an incredible speaker on stage. His energy is unmatched. The way that he moves and he connects with people is so effortless and so amazing that a lot of those things have rubbed off on me.
Ernesto is the cream of the crop.
Oh my God. Listen, I just heard Ernesto on stage, and I tell you what, he delivered.
And when I heard him speak, oh my gosh, I was so blessed to be in his presence. This man's wealth of knowledge on how the world works internationally and culturally, on how to speak in any market to anyone of any language, of any culture, is so amazing.
If you ever want to do an event and you want someone to motivate your audience, he is the man, Ernesto.
Let me express my deepest gratitude to Ernesto.
Wow. Ernesto, you have done it again, my friend. Wow, what an amazing speech and talk I just heard from Ernesto.
I just finished spending 72 hours with Ernesto, and let me tell you, he took my perspective from marketing and my brain from 2D to 3D.
Wow, that's all I can say over here, man. I was blown away, ladies and gentlemen, over here. You want something excitement, you want some powerful, impacting information? Well, you need to contact Ernesto.
You definitely need to get involved with Ernesto Verdugo.
Being motivated by Ernesto Verdugo was one of the best experiences that I've ever had.
I've never seen anything like it before in my life. Call him.
You need some Ernesto in your life.
So now you saw how it is, because, and this is also very important. If you're going to give a testimonial, remember the testimonial is to the other person, it's not to you. How many times, Dave, have you seen those videos that say, well, my name is John Smith from johnsmith.com and I am the author of the best-selling. So suddenly it's a testimonial for the other person, but then the other person is actually giving himself credit for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you are doing that with somebody and you're making a testimonial video and you're filming it and they're trying to big up their credibility before they get there, they don't need that. Remember, you're going to put their name on the testimonial of what they are, who they are, and what they do. That will be enough. People just want to see that you've got human beings that give you credibility. That's it. Short and sweet, less, more, and then we're off to the next bit of business.
Yeah.
Next up is animation videos. Now, this is something that's really useful for those people who don't like putting their faces on camera. They usually do a voiceover and they add it to animation. Sometimes they don't even have their own voice on it because they don't like the way they sound, but they put them together. Now, there's loads of really good tools for creating animation, where it used to be doing the whiteboard markers where you'd see a hand moving around and designing stuff, but there's loads of really cool ways of creating this. Now, why is that so important? Well, they make great explainer videos about what your business does. They make great explainer videos about all the things actually that we're going to be talking about for YouTube shows, but also they're really nice to watch. We don't watch them expecting them to be like a Disney production. We know they've got stick characters in it. We know it's probably done by artificial intelligence, not by a real human being. But having grown up on cartoons, there's something about watching a 2D video with animation in it that makes you want to see it through to the very end. But I would recommend going beyond 2.5 minutes, 3 minutes max, because otherwise people won't want to watch it for that long. But for the time that you have their attention, certainly up to the first minute and slightly beyond, you will have them, because everybody loves animation videos.
Yeah. Now on this next one, right now, I mean, there's not really that many events, but I mean, we have used them all the time. I mean, whenever we are promoting an event like Speak in Dubai or Speak in America or Speak in Europe or whatever we are doing, we have used them also so that you can create those event compilation videos where you basically try to give away the idea of how the event was, and you can record possibly the best parts of the event or whatever. But right now, sadly, there's hardly any events.
Well, the ones that are happening, Ernesto, I'm happy to say that I've been doing them. I did a Gulf News, I did GITEX, which is a huge tech event, about a month and a bit ago. And I've got another one coming up in about a week, less than a week's time, which is Gulf Food, where I'll be hosting and talking to lots of different people with social distancing. And it's in Dubai in the UAE. They're encouraging people to come along to it rather than streaming it online, because they want to prove that live events can still happen. But the problem with events, and we've discussed this at length many times, I mean, The Economist did an article that said that we're going to see about 1/10 of events coming back the way that they used to before the pandemic, for lots of different reasons. Social distancing is a huge one. Sanitization is another one. Just catching stuff or being inconvenienced when you can see everything from home is another one. But also, if you're going to have social distancing in what used to be a packed auditorium or a concert hall, you've got to raise the price of the tickets to reflect that. Maybe say make it about 4 times the price for the people that do attend. Or you've got to get a ton of sponsorship on board that wants to lose some money into the marketing to enable this event to happen. Now, that's a big, long shout. The only people that are going to be capable of doing it are the corporate event organizers who have a long list of clients, who have big products that they want to launch onto the market. So you're going to see fewer and fewer small events happening because they can't take the financial risk that things will not happen. People won't turn up and they won't get sponsorship. It's only the big ones are the really well orchestrated ones that like to be there. But it doesn't mean that you can't create an event online and you can't create footage of the Zoom stuff that's going on, or even that you can go out and about and interview people with distancing and so on. An event will change in many people's eyes. It will be a hybrid of live and also online, and they'll all have value. Next up is brand films or branding movies. These are really to position you or your product to be the best in class. Now, with that, you can employ a load of different things, but these can be done especially during a lockdown world, because in many cases, you can use yourself walking in a field or staring out at the sea or walking down empty streets. I would recommend not doing it as a selfie necessarily, having somebody at distance walking with you, and you can put a voiceover under it. It's a really effective way of positioning yourself. If you've got footage of you doing lots of different things, that's fantastic as well, but it doesn't have to be that. Your voiceover and also using stock footage can position you really, really well. If you're launching a product, if you want to have a new way of doing stuff, or you want to revise an old service that people maybe had forgotten about, branding videos are fantastic, and they don't have to be long. Ideally, what you want to do is make it relatively short, even 30 seconds, a sizzle reel up to about 2.5 minutes. And if you really want to do it best, contact myself and Ernesto and ask us about the hero's journey. Once you know your signature talk as a speaker and your signature theme, you can share how you really do change the world with what you do, and people who see it will instantly want to buy.
That's true. Why don't you show them, Dave, an example of one branding film from yours?
Absolutely. Take a look at one of mine. Hi, I'm Dave Crane.
Perfect. That's a great video. I love the videos that you do. So let's just move now to unboxing videos. And these ones, I have to say that I don't really do them that often. However, I have done it. My daughter Nina has done them many times, and she gets a ton of views. So, for example, let's say that you buy yourself a new iPad, or you got the latest iPhone, or you got the latest camera or a drone, whatever it is. You get somebody to film you unbox it, basically opening the box. And well, you know, I have these, and this comes with this other one, and it has the sticker, and look at how beautiful it is, and it has a cable, and that's all you do. I mean, that is really, really simple. And people love these unboxing videos for some reason that I do not know, but people love.
It's just a thing. It's like a guilty pleasure. Like the opposite of an unboxing video would be waiting for a train crash to happen because you knew that something was on the tracks. People just watch it and can't take their eyes off it. It might be literally because of the fact that you get such joy from yourself when you're opening up a present. You can feel that happening when somebody's opening up stuff in front of you, and they're getting surprises as they do it. As I mentioned before, Ryan Hadji is probably the master of doing this. A 9-year-old, his parents build up a story around everything that happens that he unboxes. Whether it's a huge climbing frame or it's dressing up as superheroes to do new stuff, it's always exciting if you're about 9 years old. But otherwise, doesn't matter who you are, you can unbox and still get your audience.
Yeah.
Next up are educational videos. These are brilliant because they really position you as a potential for your coaching course, for your mentoring, or for any service that you provide. The more you can educate people without any clause, apart from just giving them pure content, the more they're going to see how to do things, and the more they're going to elevate you as first in class. Now, here's the thing. Many people think that when you do an educational video, you're giving away all your secrets, and therefore nobody's going to come to you. But the opposite is true. There will be some people who then take your information and go off and do their thing, or maybe even copy it. That's fine. But many people will turn around and say, that's the expert I want. I don't want to do what he does. I'd like to hire him to come and work with me on my business or my thing, and therefore I'll pay whatever they say. And you're thinking, well, why should they come to me? Well, because you're on a video. You've already done the hard sell. They know you, they like you, they trust you, and next up, because of that, they want to buy from you. So educational videos can also be part of your coaching course, and so the sky's the limit.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can do them in actually with our next kind of videos. You can do them, of course, recorded, but also you can do them live. Right now, we are on a live transmission, on a live broadcast. And these live broadcasts are incredibly, incredibly valuable because, of course, I mean, right now we're giving you an educational video through a broadcast. So we are creating two pieces of content. We are creating the broadcast, but we could also create, I mean, we can chop it up in editing and we can have another educational video. So this is just great. Now, live broadcasts are fantastic. And my experience with live broadcasts is that you can do them multi-stream like we do it. I mean, we can go into LinkedIn, we can go into Twitter, we can go into Pinterest, we can go into Instagram, into everything. But the most important one of all of those, you have to make sure that it also goes into YouTube. And in my suggestion is train your audience to watch you on YouTube, because remember, YouTube is not a platform like a social media platform. It is a library or video library, and that broadcast is going to stay there for a long, long time. And also YouTube and Google are going to give it preference. So absolutely, live streams are very, very important.
I would also recommend something that most people won't say, and it's not that we would do it, but there's a certain sense of urgency about having that big live button in the top left or right hand corner. Now, most of your viewers won't watch it live. They'll watch it much later, but they do appreciate the fact it was delivered live. So even if you're not going to broadcast it live, put that picture up there, put that live signal up. Next up, let's look at recipe videos. Now, recipe videos can be a number of different ways of doing it. Simple one is recipes for cooking. So when you look at the likes of Gordon Ramsay or any of those famous chefs, they produce incredible ones where at the side of it, you can see the ingredients being listed, and then you see all the cooking stuff being done. People find those fascinating, especially in lockdown, because people like to cook because they're bored. But also the growth of the cooking channels on satellite TV and so on are really just emphasize how powerful it really is. So that's the literal cooking show with recipes. But also in any kind of business, you could put an explainer recipe video on how things get done, even how to fix a car or how to make a smoothie or any of those things could also be classed as a recipe video.
Yeah, and now we can move to something that we are doing right now. Lists and favorites and best of videos. So for example, you can make compilations. This is a list of different videos that you can do. And if you call your video the 10 best videos or the 7 best videos or the 5 best videos or a list of whatever, lists, people always love lists. These are the favorite movies of whatever. And this is the best videos of 2020. And these are the best clips or whatever, the best whatever. That's all those lists are really, really appreciated and people like it a lot. And in reality, they're very, very easy to do. I mean, right now, what we do? We said, well, let's just come up with a list of all the videos that we have done. It took us, 10, 15 minutes, and we had already a specific topic so that we can talk about and how to create a new video. So those are also great.
I'd also recommend, to do it even faster than myself and Ernesto, Google a list of a subject you want to talk about. Because remember, you're repurposing somebody's content. When they do a list, they'll let you know, sometimes even with links to the websites or to the videos of examples of what it is that you want to talk about. You are going to be doing your own version with your own style, your own backdrop, your own voice, and your own way of delivering it. So nobody will turn around and associate it as having been lifted from anybody else's content, and it saves you a ton of time. Now, you could do the 10 things that are great, or any number, and not just 10, or the 10 things that are terrible, moving away from things, or you can do what we've done with Toilet Paper Awards. We created the Toilet Paper Diary Awards at the end of a year, and that was a list. But it was a very effective list, because at the end of the day, giving an award means credibility, not just for who you give it to, but for you to be an authority to share it.
Yeah. So now our next video is going to be video games. And I have to say that I am not a gamer. Therefore, it is hard for me to talk about it. But I have seen how my kids are doing a lot of videos about video games, and they're doing absolutely great. So, of course, I mean, if you're a gamer, we encourage you to do it. I mean, because, of course, they have a ton of traction, right, Dave?
Yeah, the thing about video game videos is you've got to remember that about a third of the planet is immersed in video games. 2.7 billion people are gamers, and they go on Twitch and similar channels like that, and they don't care what goes on with the rest of YouTube. They just play the games and they talk about it. Usually a split screen, or sometimes there'll be a little version of them in the corner of the screen as they play live games. So why should that be so fascinating? Because all gamers love them. They learn from them. They are so animated as you're playing your game in real time that if you get killed and your character gets killed, you come back again and so on, it becomes really addictive just to watch, and then for people to participate on their own in their own time. So that's a whole genre unto itself. Many of the biggest names, like the Mr. Beasts and the PewDiePies and all these other guys, started off originally with the gaming industry. And what they did was they grew huge audiences of people who loved their stuff. And so then they could move with that audience to create their own content afterwards. That's if you want to go away from that content. And one of the great things is with most of these platforms for the games, once you've invested in the game and invested in your internet connection because you're playing it online and you've got all the stuff around you, which isn't too expensive, then you don't have to create any more material. The gaming companies that created it for you were doing all the heavy lifting. You just have to play the game, be funny and engaging, and your audience will stick with you. Next up is collection videos. Now, this is usually, I won't say it's a fetish thing, it's a collector's thing. If you've collected certain things, or somebody you know has got a huge selection of certain things, people do love to know more about it. So if you're saying, right, these are my collection of plastic cups, I've been collecting for 20 years, and this is my favorite one, it's a pint glass, and I get a pint of water. But if you can see it's made in China, which is why it's got these tiny little Chinese emblems all across the top of it. Let me just show it to you now. I mean, I've shown you, and you're going, there's nothing there, Dave. It's just like your lipstick, and I'm going, yeah, I got you. But the point object, if your enthusiasm is there, and the evidence is there to show people one thing, but it's several, then you'll find that around the world there are a ton of people who are enthused about it. There's people collecting Pokemon cards, and the price of Pokemon cards has gone through the roof. Football cards, old game boxes, you name it, there's someone somewhere who's mad for it. Beer mats. You do that collection stuff, fascinating. And if you can get interviews of people who are collectors, then it doesn't matter how fascinating they are to talk to. There's a material that talks for itself. You will get other enthusiasts going to you to see what they're missing from their collection. That's a whole load of extra views and a whole load of extra subscribers who want to know more from you as you use somebody else's material as your own.
You know, in fact, one of the most popular shows in Netflix like right now is called Hoarders. And it is about people that just, I mean, what's the difference between a collector and a hoarder? I would never know. But anyway, let me just also jumping on that. There's another kind of collector or collection kind of videos that you can do. For example, I mean, you remember the set boxes, like they have the Friends set boxes or 24 or the Big Bang Theory, whatever that you have the box. Well, what also you can do is you can figure out how you can create a collection of different videos that you can create in one specific topic. So you create, let's say that the topic has a number of different things that you need to cover. So you cover in one video something, in one video something, and then you can call it, well, this is the collector's item of this kind of thing. And that's just another way of how to create more content.
Comedy skits is something that's really hard to pull off, but when you do it, it becomes viral. Think about the stuff that gets sent to you by WhatsApp or by Messenger, which has a simple video on it. You watch it for the 2 minutes it exists, you laugh your head off, and you forward it to somebody else. These are created by people, and if you brand them properly, then people will then go to your YouTube channel to see what else you've got there. One of my favorites is by Julie Nolka, who did some incredible stuff during the early parts of a lockdown and beyond. She's got an incredible channel. You should watch it anyway, where she talked about the older version of her being visited by the today's version of her, or the newer. Imagine that somebody from the future came back to talk to you. That's what I'm trying to say.
Well, it's you from the future talking to you of the past.
Groundhog Day. But on video. Watch their stuff. It's brilliant. Sign up for it and subscribe because it's brilliant as well. So those work really well. Comedy makes people laugh because there's two types of things that are viral. Things that make you laugh and things that make you angry. Everything in between is down to your personal preference, but people share outrage and they share humor.
Yeah.
Also in that is parodies. Parodies is when you take something that's established that people are used to seeing and you do your own version of it. Like the young Gordon Ramsay, which is a really funny set of videos with a kid playing Gordon Ramsay, swearing and shouting at adults, but it's hilarious to watch if you don't mind watching kids swear. And on top of that, then you got the prank things. Now these are very hard to pull off, but there's so many wonderful shows. Like I'm trying to think of in the UK, we had You've Been Framed. What's the American one called?
I don't remember, but for example, which one was one of the ones that was doing very, very well? The one about this guy that were taking a shower and on the beach, and they were just pouring shampoo all the time, every time that they were. So those are the prank videos. But what is really cool about this? I mean, think about TikTok, and I'm talking seriously. Think about TikTok. I mean, you can see comedies, you can see parodies, you can see prank videos, which are 15, 30 seconds long. So that doesn't mean that you have to be a stand-up comedian. And I mean, I think, the Knockbone family or whatever it is that they're doing all the parodies about Frozen and about all these different movies, etc., how they just change the lyrics and make it look like also part of the pandemic. Right now, comedy skits, parodies, prank videos are doing great because, of course, I mean, people want to be entertained. And once again, it doesn't have to be a comedy, a stand-up comedy, or it have to be really funny. If you watch TikTok, this is exactly what this is all about. Now, one important thing with YouTube is that YouTube is they have rolled out this new feature in India. It's called YouTube Shorts, and it's the same thing as a TikTok. So if you can think of these kind of things, this is going to get you a ton of traction and a ton of views. I mean, we have not really done that many of these videos, but we know a lot of people that are doing it. I mean, they're very, very effective.
If you want to go all the way back in time, look at Candid Camera, which was the original show for all this stuff, and see what's developed from there. And it's easy to do everything from what's done on Mr. Bean, where things go wrong and it's really funny, even out of context, taking a little segment of it. Sometimes when there's real people involved, it's even funnier, but just be very careful. If you do something with real people, you film it and you put it onto video, you can be sued if you don't get their sign off on it. So you might have to fuzzy out their faces, but keep the voices if you can get away with it. Doesn't mean you have to do it, but if you want to avoid getting sued, I really would.
Yeah,
so that's the comedy stuff, Ernesto, and that's pretty much the way I would describe for most people to be able to put together some kind of show. We've got to add to it this kind of show as well, where you're just there to spend quality time with people. That takes in a ton of different things. A magazine program which is something there you can create a relationship with the audience and go through lots of different things. Look at the late night talk show hosts. They do skits, they do music, they unbox. Will it float? All these different things that the late night talk show guys do, they do it as a magazine program. And so it's worth seeing what everybody else does before you find yours. And there's one other thing I'd say about it as well. If you call it a show, people respect it of a certain level because only top people would have their own show, but it can be 1 minute. It doesn't have to be the duration. And if you do a longer show, you can chop it up and use different segments of it and have those standalone videos. There's a ton of ways of doing it.
Yeah, as we have mentioned many times, I think one of the most important skills for people to learn right now is video editing, which is right now it's not really that difficult. I mean, there's ton of programs that can do it, and then you can go to Udemy, and in Udemy you can download a training for $11 and learn how to do it. It's very, very important. And what's going to happen is we do not know exactly how long this is going. I mean, we have been talking about when are we going to finish with this bloody pandemic and whatever. And I strongly believe that it's just not that it's going to be over. I mean, I think it's just going to be easing out little by little, and there's going to be a hybrid world. And I think I'm ready just to sing a sea shanty. I mean,
before we move on to sea shanties, which is your own little thing that makes you happy, there's certain things that make Ernesto happy. For me, it's drinking myself into oblivion, and for Ernesto, it's sea shanties. Let me just add to what you were saying there about the fact that we don't know when this is going to finish. But what I would say is people are starting to get into a Stockholm syndrome. They're starting to love their captor. They're starting to love being in lockdown. It's got a relative safety. They're used to connecting online. They're watching the movies and the TV shows that they want, and they can get almost anything delivered to their door just by getting a credit card out and paying for it. So that's one thing. The other thing I was going to say is when it does finally finish, even if we go for a slow rollout, history has shown us from the Black Plague, from the First World War, even from the Second World War, when people get over a huge, really debilitating global problem, there's a huge celebration that happens for years afterwards with the best art, the best music, the best movies, the best TV shows being created. If you can get into this space now and start helping people in lockdown, not only will you be rolled out as part of the flavor of the new generation of fun that comes after this, but you'll also be an expert to start generating stuff above and beyond what you've been doing in a lockdown environment, because you'll be able to do the same thing with a whole load of extra stuff that you couldn't get access to now. So it's worth doing it right now.
That's awesome. So Dave, we are getting to the end of the show. It's been great.
Don't you?
Sorry?
You want to do it. You want to do it.
What?
You want to get your sea shanty out.
Well, I mean, just think about it. It's just, this is exactly what I think describes how people were feeling. I mean, when were people singing a sea shanty in the earlier days? I mean, when they were in the freaking sea, God knows when was going to be the next time that they were going to hit the shore. And they were just happy doing those sea shanties and drinking beer. So I just think it's lovely that right now they are taking a new life of its own. So yeah, absolutely. I would like to close the show with a sea shanty, if you allow me, Dave.
I couldn't stop you if I tried. And it's so nice to know that you feel nostalgic to going back about 200 years ago when people used to only travel by sea. So with that, Ernesto, it's been a joy. We look forward to seeing people's efforts on what they do with their videos. And as always, season 3 kicks off with a big fat bang and a great song, Sea Shanties. Take care, Ernesto.
Bye-bye.
What will we do with a drunken sailor? What will we do with a drunken sailor? What will we do with a drunken sailor early in the morning? Way hey and up she rises, way hey and up she rises, way hey and up she rises early in the morning. Shave his belly with a rusty razor, shave his belly with a rusty razor, shave his belly with a rusty razor early in the morning. Way hey and up she rises, way hey and up she rises, way hey and up she rises early in the morning. Put him in a longboat till he's sober. Put him in a longboat till he's sober. Put him in a longboat till he's sober. Early in the morning, way hey, and up she rises. Way hey, and up she rises. Way hey, and up she rises. Early in the morning.